Commander Ryvan Solus wasn't easily surprised. Years in the Earth Coalition's elite special ops had hardened him beyond most human standards. He'd survived re-entry with a scorched exoshell, watched comrades vaporized by plasma rounds, and held the line against war-bred nightmares on Titan. But nothing, not even first contact with a species that communicated via blood pheromones, prepared him for what crashed through the ceiling vent of his quarters aboard the Iron Wind. With a hiss of compressed air and a shower of frost-dusted flakes, a figure dropped like a blade from the shadows above, landing in a crouch directly atop his table. Ryvan barely had time to move. One hand went instinctively to the sidearm holstered at his hip, while the other pushed off the datapad he'd been reading. His body coiled, breath locked. Then he saw her, tall, alien, female. Her skin shimmered faintly under the white-blue lighting, catching motes of frost like scattered diamonds. Long black hair curled down her back, thick and damp, as if she'd emerged from a cryotube moments ago. She wore a tactical one-piece, what should have been a sleek infiltration suit, but it clung to her like melted plastic, flickering with glitches, revealing swaths of flawless skin underneath. It shimmered along her thighs, buzzed across her chest, and completely failed to obscure the deep unnatural glow pulsing from the base of her throat. And then she spoke. "You made me wet." Ryvan blinked. Her voice was melodic, almost too calm for someone who had just broken into a secure human military vessel. "The vent system was filled with condensation," she continued matter-of-factly. "It soaked through my suit's nanofabric. Your climate controls are inefficient." Ryvan narrowed his eyes. "Who the hell are you?" She tilted her head slightly. The gesture might have been curious or predatory. "Zair Kala," she said. "Celiari, exiled." That stopped him cold. The Celiari were dangerous, biologically enhanced, bred for beauty and destruction. Most served their highborn houses as infiltrators, assassins, or elite envoys. But Ndai, exiled one? That was like letting a grenade wander into your bedroom with a smile. She climbed off the table slowly, gracefully. Her boots clicked softly on the floor, though Ryvan noted with precision the deadly way her muscles coiled beneath. Her skin. "Why are you on my ship?" he asked. She looked around his quarters. Spartan, clean, just a desk, a sleeping module, and an old coffee mug with a chipped rim. "Not yours." "Not yet," she said. "But soon. Your admiral doesn't know. The Celiari Council doesn't know. No one does. But we have a problem, Commander, and you're going to help me fix it." He tensed. "Why me?" She stepped closer. The light from the wall panels flickered as her suit glitched again. Her body was inches from his now, close enough for him to see the crystalline shimmer in her irises, the slight quiver of her lip. "Not nervous, calculated, testing him, because you're the only human who survived the Karnak Rift ambush," she said. "The only one they couldn't break. I read the classified files." Ryvan clenched his jaw. That mission had been sealed, and, she added, pressing a glowing fingertip to his chest, right over his heart, "because the others would be afraid of me." The air between them charged, thick like magnetic pull. Ryvan didn't move. He knew better than to give her the satisfaction. Her eyes narrowed. "Also, this..." She gestured down to her soaked and sparking bodysuit, now almost entirely transparent across her torso. "Is your fault." "Fix it," he raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" "I said fix it with your mouth." Silence. Ryvan didn't blink. "You're joking," she smirked, the expression curling with wicked amusement. "Humans are full of surprises. I want to see how your breath affects Celiari nanoweave. I read it reacts to carbon dioxide. You exhale heat and water vapor. Use it. Fix the damaged nodes." "You could just say that instead of..." he muttered. It got your attention. She wasn't wrong. He stepped forward cautiously, closer to her chest, close enough to see the fine circuitry threading just beneath her skin. He hesitated. She tilted her head again. "If I wanted to kill you, human, I would have done it when I landed." Riven nodded. Fair point. He bent slightly, blowing a warm breath over the flickering nanoweave threads across her collarbone. The damaged suit fluttered, glitched, and then slowly began resealing, threads twisting and knitting back into form. She inhaled sharply. Don't move, he said, as he repeated the breath, moving downward. Her chest rose beneath his exhale, and he felt the faint hum of her bio-armor responding. When he finished, the suit had stabilized, mostly. The glow from her throat had dimmed to a soft pulse. She exhaled slowly, steadying herself. That's better, she murmured. Riven stepped back. Now you tell me what's really going on, because I'm guessing you didn't crash into my quarters just to flirt. Her expression changed. The seduction fell away, replaced by something colder, sharper. There's a war coming, she said quietly. Not between humans and Celyari, between something older, something buried in our genetic memory. It's reawakening on Nafrex Sigma. My people won't listen. Yours don't even know it exists. He crossed his arms. And you want me to help you stop it? She nodded. I need someone who doesn't play by rules, someone expendable to your chain of command, but indispensable in a fight. Riven stared at her, weighing her words, her posture, the flicker of desperation she tried to hide. You're not telling me everything, he said. I'm telling you enough. He sighed. Fine. But if this turns into some assassination... Game? She stepped close again, her fingers brushing his jaw. You'd already be dead, human. He didn't flinch. Instead, he did something unexpected. He smiled. Then I guess we're partners. Her eyes widened, just slightly. Strange creatures, she whispered. You humans. And then the alarm klaxon blared across the ship. Red lights flared. Unauthorized warp signature, Vector 13. Incoming. Riven moved first. Looks like your timing was perfect, she followed. No, it's too soon. As they sprinted through the corridors toward the war room, she turned to him one last time. You better be as good as the files say. He looked over his shoulder, eyes sharp. You better hope I'm better. Location, war room, Ironwind, human orbital warship. Red light pulsed through the warship's steel arteries as Commander Riven Solace and Zaya Kala sprinted through the corridors, boots striking in unison. The klaxon blared an eerie rhythm. Above them, echoing like a war drum. Incoming signal, barked a voice over comms. Celyari frequency scrambled with unregistered harmonics. Decrypt and patch it through, Riven ordered into the comm embedded in his wrist cuff. And get weapons hot. They slid into the war room together. Riven in front, Zaya Kala barely behind him, moving with unnatural grace. Admiral. Nora turned from the central holotable, her cybernetic eyes scanning Zaya instantly. You brought her here? Nora growled. Riven, what the hell are you doing? She brought herself, Riven said, already flicking controls on the holotable. And she might be the only one who understands what's about to eat our starboard hull. Zaya didn't flinch at the accusation. The signal pattern, they're baiting you, pretending to be one of mine. It's not Celyari. And what is it exactly? Nora snapped. Zaya stared into the hologram, eyes narrowing. You ever heard of the Shathex? Nora blinked. That's ancient mythology. Zaya turned to her slowly. It's not mythology. On the holotable, a wave of static pulsed, and then sharpened into a spiny obsidian-like silhouette. The Shathex ship resembled a cathedral forged from nightmares, jagged and bristling with antimatter nodes. They're older than both our species, Zaya said quietly, and they're waking up. The Shathex vessel began to power weapons. Without waiting for permission, Riven activated defensive maneuvers. I'm taking fire control. Zaya, you're with me. Admiral Nora hesitated, then gave a stiff nod. One chance, Commander. Don't screw this up. Lower deck. Fire control core. The lights flickered as tremors rocked the ship. Riven and Zaya took position by the fire control interface. The Shathex were unpredictable. No shields, no signals, just brutal, relentless force. Zaya's fingers, glowed faintly as she traced an unfamiliar path through the system's logic. "You're hacking my warship?" Riven growled. "I'm enhancing it. Human encryption is child's play compared to what we used in exile." She gave him a sideways glance. "Besides, you need me." The hull groaned as a barrage struck their flank. Sparks showered the room. Riven cursed and lunged to shield the console. A sharp fragment of shrapnel sliced through his uniform and embedded in his shoulder. Zare turned sharply, eyes widening as blood bloomed red across his sleeve. "You're bleeding," she said, stepping toward him, voice low. "I noticed," he grunted, gripping the wound. Her hand reached toward the torn fabric, but not to stop the bleeding. Instead, her fingers hovered inches from the blood. "It's fascinating." "Try less fascination, more triage," Riven said through gritted teeth, but her fingers brushed the edge of the wound gently. Her touch was oddly warm, and moments later, the pain began to fade. "What the hell?" "Your blood triggers a regenerative response in my neurosympathetic field," she said clinically. "I wasn't sure it would work." "Glad I could be your science project," he muttered. She leaned in closer. "You don't understand, do you? Cellulari bond through combat. Blood shared on the battlefield creates chemical alignment. You're syncing with me, Commander." Riven blinked. "That's why your suit's stabilizing near me now? And why I can sense your heart rate without touching you." Their eyes locked again, closer this time. Her pupils dilated, chest rising with sharp breaths. "Are you trying to distract me during a firefight?" he asked. Zare smiled faintly. "Is it working?" A blaring alarm interrupted the moment. "Target lock. Shathek's boarding pods incoming," came the announcement over comms. Zare's humor vanished. "They never board unless they want something." "Specific," she muttered. Riven grabbed a plasma rifle from the wall. "What would they want from us?" She met his gaze coldly. "Me." Deck 5. Boarding point Alpha. The first pod tore through the hull like a meteor. Black tendrils burst outward, forming jagged bridges onto the deck. Riven, Zare, and a squad of Marines took position behind. Barricades. Then came the Shatheks. They weren't machines nor fully biological. Tall, twisted humanoid forms, black carapace over grey skin, with faces like polished obsidian masks. Their arms unfolded into blade-tipped limbs that pulsed with dark energy. Zare snarled, pulling a compact blade from her wrist socket. "Aim for the spine! That's where they're vulnerable." The Marines fired. The Shatheks retaliated with terrifying speed. Two soldiers went down screaming before they even understood what hit them. Zare launched into the fray, her blade carving arcs of shimmering light. Riven backed her with precise bursts of plasma fire, every shot coordinated, every move instinctual. "You fight like one of us," she shouted over the chaos. "Maybe your people should have invited me to the last dance." They fought in unison, her fluidity, his aggression. When a Shathek's warrior lunged at Riven's exposed flank, Zare was already there, severing the thing's head mid-air. "I had that," Riven grunted. "Of course you did, human," as the final Shathex collapsed, twitching in a pool of shadow. Igor, the room fell into tense silence. The survivors regrouped. Riven leaned against a console, blood mixing with soot. Zare approached, not a scratch on her, but her body hummed with residual heat. She looked at him for a long moment. "You're more than I expected," she said. Riven exhaled. "You're not bad for an interstellar intruder." "You realize what this means, don't you?" she asked. He raised an eyebrow. "That we just pissed off something ancient and unknowable?" "No," she said. "That we bonded." She stepped. Closer again, closer than she ever had before. "Through battle," she whispered. "You're mine now." Riven stared, caught between adrenaline exhaustion and something electric simmering beneath his skin. "And if I said I don't belong to anyone?" Zare smirked. "Then I'll just have to earn it." He didn't flinch. "Is that a threat?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "A promise?" Later, private quarters, Riven sat on his bunk, shirt discarded, wound bandaged. The lights were dim, blue pulses cycling from the walls. Zare stood at the door, silhouetted by the soft glow. "You should rest," he said. She didn't move. "I've never fought beside someone like you," she said. "You've never fought beside a human." "Exactly." She stepped inside, letting the door seal shut behind her. He didn't stop her. She sat beside him, closer than necessary. Her fingers traced the line of the bandage on his shoulder. Her touch was warm again, soothing. "You're not afraid of me," she said. "No reason to be, yet." Her head tilted, black hair falling to one side. "What if I told you I've killed humans before? I'd say that makes you dangerous. And if I said I wouldn't kill you?" He leaned forward. "I'd say you better not be lying." Their lips were inches apart. Then she whispered, "You made me wet again, Commander." He blinked. The climate system in here, still broken. He couldn't help it. He laughed, a dry, startled chuckle. "You're impossible." Zare smiled, eyes glowing faintly. "Fix it, with your mouth." And then she kissed him. It wasn't soft. It was the kind of kiss born of war and survival and too many unsaid things. Their bond forged in fire, in blood, in breath. Her hands wrapped around his neck, and his pulled her down onto him like gravity itself had surrendered. For now, just now, the war could wait. Location, deep space, aboard the Ironwind, 72 hours after first Shathex contact. The stars outside the viewport drifted slowly past as the Ironwind sailed through quiet space. Quiet only in sound. The mood aboard the ship was anything but calm. Riven sat alone in the observation dome, staring out at the endless black ocean of stars, the weight of too many decisions gnawing at his spine. His wounds ached. His fingers drummed nervously on the railing. Zerkala had been quiet since their last mission engagement. She hadn't spoken of the kiss. She hadn't spoken of the fight. But she hadn't left the ship either, which meant something worse was coming. Footsteps behind him stirred the air. He didn't turn. "Thought you'd be asleep," he said quietly. "I don't sleep much," Zare said, walking up beside him. Her eyes reflected starlight, eerie and beautiful. She wore a black half-cloak now, salvaged from one of the Shathex. Corpses, repurposed into something regal, elegant, dangerous. "You kissed me," he said finally, still watching the stars. "I did." "Under," she said. "You also bonded with me, told me I was yours, nearly got me killed, and then didn't explain a damn thing." "I'm not used to explaining myself." "Well," Riven turned, his eyes locking with hers, "start getting used to it." "Because I just got a message from Earth Command." She said nothing. "They want you turned over," he continued. "They think you're the reason the Shathex found us. They think you're broadcasting a signal." Zare didn't react. "They're not wrong." Riven stiffened. "What?" She exhaled, slowly. "The Shathex don't see time the way you or I do. They're drawn to anomalies in space-time, fractures caused by quantum scars. I carry one." "A scar?" She nodded. "From something I did, or rather, something I was made to do." She pulled down the collar of her suit to expose a glowing, pulsing brand near her collarbone, circular, ancient, and alive with dark energy. "The Celiari High-Bloods embedded this in me when I was exiled," she said. "They said it would keep me from returning. What they didn't say was that it was a beacon, one the Shathex can smell from across dimensions." Riven stared at the mark. "So, you are the reason they're here." Zare's jaw clenched. "Yes, but not by choice." The silence that followed was crushing. "And if I hand you over?" Riven asked, his voice low. She turned to face him fully. "Then Earth Command will dissect me, trigger the scar's collapse, and likely invite a full Shathex invasion. The only reason they haven't jumped directly to Sol is because they're watching me, feeding on the tension. Riven looked down at his hands. "So you're the bait, and we're the trap." Zare stepped closer, her voice softer now. "You need to make a choice, Riven. Either you save me or you save your species." He met her eyes. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Put the weight of an entire world on my shoulders while looking at me like that." She blinked, unsure. "Like you'd be okay with dying just as long as I was the one who chose it." Her voice cracked almost imperceptibly. "That's not what I—" "You think I'm some kind of emotionless weapon," Riven said, stepping forward. "But I'm not. I'm human. We don't make clean decisions. We make messy, painful ones. And we fight like hell to live with the aftermath." Her expression shifted, cracked open, vulnerable. "I came to this ship thinking I could manipulate you," she whispered, "that you were like the others, cold, predictable, disposable." "And now?" he asked. "Now I don't want you to choose at all." They stood inches apart. Riven's hand rose, gently touching the mark on her collarbone. It was warm, pulsing. "There's got to be a way to extract it," he said. "There isn't," she replied. "The Celiari never intended for anyone to survive the removal, not even one of us. Then we'll make them regret that design flaw." She stared at him, something new stirring behind her eyes. "You'd risk war with my people?" "I already kissed one of their exiles," he said, smirking faintly. "Might as well go all in," she laughed. It was low, sharp, and full of something ancient, something alive. "You're insane." "I'm a soldier," he replied. "We do our best work when logic fails." 2 hours later, secret engineering bay. "You know this could kill both of us," Zare said as she lay back against the operating slab. The engineering bay had been converted hastily into a sterile extraction zone. Medical bots hovered anxiously. Riven stood over her, gloves on, scanning the pulsating brand with a hybrid device wired from both human and Celiari tech. "Yeah," he said, "but we're already dead if we don't try." She looked up at him, really looked. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me. Not the exile. Not the weapon. Me." He hesitated, then leaned down and kissed her forehead. "Stay with me," he murmured. The device whirred to life. Her scream echoed across the bay. The extraction process wasn't clean. It wasn't smooth. The brand fought back, unleashing waves of psychic backlash and localized gravitational distortion. Riven screamed too as it latched onto him, forcing a shared hallucination. Inside the vision, the world around them collapsed into fragments. They were children. No, soldiers. No, creatures. Sharing thoughts that weren't their own. 1,000 dying stars. Endless night. And at the center of it all, the Shathex. "They were our creators," Zare said through the haze. Riven shook, trying to make sense of the fractured space. "No," he whispered. "They were your jailers." "We were born in their image," she gasped. Celiari were never meant to be free. The vision shifted, showing Earth, billions of humans unaware. The Shathex tendrils slowly coiling through the edges of space. "They'll take everything," she whispered. "Not if we stop them here." Back to reality. The brand tore free, an orb of dark matter now pulsing in a containment field. Zare collapsed. Riven caught her, his own body shaking violently. "You're okay," he breathed, cradling her. Her eyes fluttered open. "You removed it. You actually did it." Then the ship rocked violently. "What now?" Riven shouted. A young officer's voice screamed through comms. "Shathex fleet just dropped out of warp. Hundreds. They're coming for the brand." Riven looked down at the floating orb, and then to Zare. "We can't run," she said weakly. "They'll follow it forever." He clenched his jaw. "Then we give them something else to chase." He picked up the containment unit, handed Zare his sidearm, and called the bridge. "This is Commander Solace. Prepare to eject the brand into deep space. Plot a warp trail behind it. Let's lead them on a ghost chase." The Admiral's voice replied, "What about the girl?" "She stays," Riven said. "She's earned that." Zir looked at him with stunned gratitude, and then the stars outside bent, space twisting violently as the Shathek's horde poured into view. It wasn't over, not yet. Shathek's invasion fleet approaching, the entire ship vibrated with tension. The Shatheks were close now, so close that their shadows danced across the hull like reaching claws. The void beyond the viewport rippled with black ships shaped like predatory bone, ancient, innumerable, terrifying. Commander Riven Solace stood on the command deck, his uniform torn, his arm in a makeshift sling. Beside him stood Zair Kala, no longer the silent alien outsider, but something else entirely. A fighter, an ally, something deeper, perhaps something he loved. Admiral Nora paced near the holotable, watching the fleet readouts flicker red. "The decoys away," she said, pointing to the small vessel hurtling into deep space with the extracted brand locked inside. "But only half the enemy's ships followed it. The rest are still on course." "They know," Zair murmured. "They can feel I'm still here." Nora turned on her. "Then we eject you too." Riven stepped between them instantly. "That's not happening. She's a liability. She's the reason we got this far," Riven cut in. "And I'm not giving her up. There has to be another way." Zair placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Riven," he turned. Don't say you're going to surrender. I won't let you." She looked into his eyes, full of war and fire, but also warmth. "I wasn't. I was going to say, if I die, I want to die with you." He stared at her. "Not what I had in mind for a romantic ending," he said. She gave him a tired smile. "Then let's make sure it isn't the end." 15 minutes later, the lights in the armory buzzed as Riven and Zair suited up. The latest generation of adaptive combat armor clamped down across Riven's frame, while Zair slid seamlessly into a fusion of human and Celiari plating, modded together in defiance of both their species' expectations. She looked like a goddess of war. "You ready?" Riven asked. Zair cocked her head. "For battle or for whatever this madness we've created between us is?" "Both." "Then yes." They exchanged a silent nod and stepped into the lift. Battlefield. Deck 7. Infiltration corridor. The Shatheks didn't knock. They pierced the Iron Wind's hull like a parasite. Acidic claws melted steel, creating gaping wounds in the ship's body. Smoke and sparks filled the corridors. Marines fought and died, screaming. Zair and Riven led the countercharge. "Keep pushing!" Riven shouted, plasma rifle hammering into the enemy lines. Zair moved like a blade through smoke, her twin daggers singing as they sliced through Shathek's carapace. Her armor shimmered with alien light, pulsing in rhythm with her heart and his. The bond between them was no longer metaphor, it was real. Whenever he moved, she was there. Whenever she fell back, he was behind her. Two hearts, one rhythm. Then a massive blast shook the entire deck. The corridor ahead warped, and from the center of it emerged something larger than any Shatheks they'd faced. 8 feet tall, plated in black void glass, with 6 burning red eyes. Zair froze. "That's not just a warrior. That's a sire." "A general?" Riven asked, raising his rifle. "No," she said, face grim. "A king." The sire stepped forward, voice like tectonic plates grinding in a dead world's heart, the exiled one, and her human mate. Curious. Riven raised an eyebrow. "Great. It talks." Zair's hand trembled. "He knows everything. The sires are connected to the collective. Killing him might sever their control. Then what are we waiting for?" They charged together. The fight was brutal, unlike anything they'd faced before. The sire moved like a shadow caught in a storm, blades forming from its arms, wings of energy lashing outward. Riven's rifle was nearly useless. Each blast Deflected by a quantum shimmer, Zaya ducked low, cutting beneath the sire's guard, only to be hurled across the corridor by an unseen force. Zaya! Riven screamed, charging in. The sire slammed him into a wall. Riven's HUD cracked, his ribs snapped. "You bleed for her. I'd die for her." Riven spat, coughing blood. The sire lifted him by the throat. "Then die." A blast of energy charged between its fingers, but before it fired, a throwing dagger sliced through its arm joint. Zaya was back, bleeding, limping, but alive. She hurled herself forward, driving both daggers into the sire's chest. It shrieked, a sound that shattered glass across 3 decks. "You want to see what it means to bond with a human?" she snarled. "Let me show you what love feels like." Then Riven, through sheer pain, raised his sidearm and fired a concentrated ion round into the daggers lodged in the sire's chest. It detonated. The sire exploded in a shockwave of black light and fire. Silence fell. Then, cheering. Across the ship, the Shathex froze, then collapsed, like puppets without strings. The battle was over. Hours later. Medbay, Riven awoke to soft light, oxygen hissing, and warm fingers curled around his own. Zaya sat beside him, still wearing her scorched armor. Her cheeks were streaked with alien blood, but her eyes were radiant. "You look terrible," she said gently. "I feel worse," he replied, smiling faintly. They stared at each other. "No more brands," she whispered. "No more exile." He said, "No more wars between us," he nodded. "Just us." She leaned in slowly. "Is that something humans do?" "Only when we're sure." And then she kissed him again. This time, slow. Gentle, real, not war, not adrenaline, just love. Epilogue. 6 months later. Location: Earth, United Planetary Council Assembly, Riven. And Zaya stood together in the great glass hall as alien and human representatives gathered. The Shathex threat had vanished, scattered across time and dimension. The war was over. Zaya wore ceremonial robes, half her design, half Earth fashion. Dignified, powerful, beautiful. Riven wore his dress uniform. Medals lined his chest, but his eyes were on her. Commander Solace, a Terran ambassador, called, "Do you speak for the bond between our peoples?" Riven looked at Zaya. "I don't just speak for it," he said. "I live it." He offered his hand. Zaya took it. Together they turned to the crowd, and the galaxy watched as a human and a Celyari, the impossible pair, walked side by side toward the future. The end. Did you enjoy this human-alien love story? Want more romance, war, and heart-pounding alien drama like this?